thank you all for joining us for this month's webinar, Kansas City Staycation. It's finding treasures in your own backyard. So I have the pleasure of hosting my colleague, Kristin Schroeder. So we're going to have a fun, lovely discussion around all the great things Kansas City has to offer. It was hard to narrow down all the lists we were creating. It was like we just wanted to keep building and building, and so there's a lot
There are
on here.
endless adventures.
Yes, yes. And so if there's something on here that you're like, hey, get this on your radar, feel free to put it in the Q&A, or if you have questions, ask it through the Q&A. I believe the chat feature is disabled for webinars, so use the Q&A if there's any kind of back and forth you want to have with us. We'd love to hear from you and get your input on this. And so, all righty. Well, Kristin, thank you for taking some time out of your day to join me on this fun discussion here. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for having me, Derek. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. All right, so staycation, that's a term used quite a bit. You know, it's kind of fun and a play on words there, but why would someone do a staycation? Why would you consider that?
It's a great question. There are a lot of reasons that I think a staycation can make sense. First one that we have on the slide here, contentment. So
Yeah.
we are all about increasing contentment and finding contentment in our own backyard.
hmm
Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I like it because like the contentment, yes, 100%. The connection and just kind of it gives a different feel to the city once you go explore it, kind of through a tourist eyes.
Yes.
You know, one thing I always talk with my wife is whenever her family comes and visit, they live out of state. You know, one's Arizona, one's Illinois, but it creates this kind of buzz and excitement because, oh, we're going to get to do different things that we don't normally do, or get to explore different areas of the city. And there's, I can't tell you how many times where it's been like, oh, we're pleasantly surprised. Sometimes it's a dud, but sometimes you're like, this is really cool, and it makes you love your city more, and you get to share it with someone else, and so that's fun. We love vacations out of state too, and so we're not just all homers, but this might be a little heavy on the homer side, but yeah, we love that. And then, like I said, typically it's, you know, budget friendly. It tends to be, you know, obviously you can spend some money on some nice experiences in Kansas City, but you can also have great times. There's what I love about the city is it feels like there's great options indoor and outdoor, and so we'll kind of touch on a lot of those different things to explore there.
That's exactly right. I don't
Yeah.
think you have to spend a lot of money to have a great experience in Kansas City. There are a
Right.
lot of opportunities, like you said, both indoor and outdoor for singles, families.
Yeah.
You know, get out there and explore it. And I think um, it'll just renew your joy for where you find yourself living.
Yes. Yes. All right. So, and for indoor, you know, my so we have a young family, you know, 8 months old, 3 year old, and a 5 year old. So when you see urban air on there and Sky Zone, that was kind of my vote there. But there's a lot of great things for kids and families. Good kind of indoor experiences there. And Wonderscope is a really popular one. I've heard great things. I've always been at work while my wife and kids have gone, but pictures are fantastic. It's just a fun way to be indoor. I think they have some outdoor space too, but it's just a really cool experience for kids. And then you know, as a parent, you get to be alongside of that and get to enjoy it through their eyes too. So that's always fun. It's not just like only for the kids. You get to have some fun as well.
That's right. We've spent quite a bit of time at Wonderscope. We even went to the prior building. They've moved locations
Mhm.
recently, but we love Wonderscope. Wonderscope is a great spot. There's lots to do. It's an easy place where you can take kids. They can do art. They can dress up, play pretend, just get some of those wiggles out. It's a great spot if you have a
Yeah,
family of
yeah,
kiddos.
yeah. And I knew a newer one on this list, the Rabbit Hole, and that was even
Yes,
getting national news. And so, have you
yes.
been to the Rabbit Hole?
We have been to the rabbit hole. We went a
Okay.
year ago. So it's just a fantastic interactive museum experience. So you'll get to experience walking through some of the settings of your kids' favorite children's books.
Yeah.
And that is just a really special and unique spot here in Kansas City. So definitely recommend checking out the rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah. And then I know some things we've done as a firm is Breakthrough KC, and so I think that is obviously unique to KC in the sense that it's Breakthrough KC, but there's other kind of experiences like that in other cities popping up. But it's just a fun time, typically with with a group. It could be 2 to 4 or even more. We had our whole staff, but just kind of different. Experiences, games, in different rooms that you had to have different challenges to complete. And so, anytime you can have fun with a group of people that you enjoy being around, it's like it just brings a great energy to things and memories and fun photos and laughs. And so, Breakthrough KC is something that I don't know of anyone that has gone there and not had a great time. And so, I'm like, anybody I talk to is like, if you're coming to Kansas City, you got to try that. It's about a hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, and you will have the most fun you've had in a long time. And so we really love that. And then kind of on the classier side is that Green Lady Lounge. I felt very sophisticated walking in. I was a little embarrassed at first because you walk in and the band's right there. You felt like you're part of the set, but it's kind of a classy kind of jazz, live music. They got jazz there, and so I felt very sophisticated, and so we got to experience that, and that was a good time. One thing I have not experienced though is the Kauffman Center for Performing Arts. It's part of the great skyline we have. But have you
Oh,
been
yes.
to?
Yes,
Okay.
I have been to the Kaufman several times, and I will say during the summer, um, my daughters are involved with the Culture House here in Kansas City, and the Culture House partners with Kaufman to put on a performance every year. This summer, they're featuring Anastasia,
Oh,
and Anastasia, the tickets for that are $35 a piece, no matter where you're sitting. And that is
wow.
unheard of for
Yeah,
Kaufman. So if you're interested in getting to the Kaufman this summer, that's a great opportunity. Go see Anastasia, $35 a ticket, no matter where you're sitting.
yeah, yeah. Just get in the building, experience the
Yes.
building, the uniqueness of it, and then also catch
Um,
a great show. And yeah,
yes,
yeah,
amazing architecture, beautiful
yes,
views.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, great. Good, good. And then there's a lot of unique museums in Kansas City. And so, we've done the World War One museum, and that, I mean, you could spend a full day in there for sure. I mean, there's so much to take in. If you're wanting to read all the plaques, there's a lot of things to consume there. And so, just as a really cool museum that they have there in the area that you're in, you're close to other things too. Union Station's not too far from there, and they typically have
mhm.
kind of traveling exhibits as well. And so it's like it's a good spot to kind of set up base for a day and get to enjoy World War One museum. Check out Union Station. There's Crown Center right by it, and so a lot of good things. Anything on the museum list that you're like, okay, you guys gotta check this out?
Well, I love this. One of our participants sent in the suggestion to do a sunrise or a sunset walk at the World War
Oh,
One Museum and Memorial, and I thought
yeah,
that was a great idea. That's a really unique way to experience it.
yeah,
So now that's on my list for sure this summer, and I definitely want to make it back to the Nelson. I've not been to the Nelson. Oh, it's probably been 15, maybe 20 years since
yes,
I've been, which is embarrassing.
yeah.
But I would love to make it back to the Nelson.
Yeah, yeah, the Nelson is great. A lot of really unique pieces in there. My goal is I had learned this when I was not at the Nelson, but allegedly John the Baptist finger is at the Nelson Atkins Museum,
Oh,
and so I need to see that exhibit. Whoever's finger it is, I need to see the holy finger there, and so I need to check that out.
the
But
Holy Finger.
there's some things on here for kids like the Toys and Miniatures Museum that is really unique experience. And then the American Jazz and Baseball Museum, Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, those are like right next to each other. And so you can kind of do the two birds, one stone. I think you can even do a dual ticket. And so just a really cool
Oh,
spot to be, 18th and Vine. And so just checking out the kind of history of the city and how those Jazz and Negro Leagues Baseball kind of were part of the fiber of Kansas City there, and so really really cool. And then yeah, and so a lot of great stuff on here. There's even a lot of museums that we didn't include. The slide's only so big, and so there's a lot
yes.
lot left there too. Good. And so that's kind of the indoor side of things. Now we'd like to kind of pivot and talk what to do in Kansas City when, it's 100 degrees outside and 90% humidity. What do you do at that point, Kristen? Here, what are some things you like?
If I'm outdoors,
Yes.
one of the things I'm definitely doing in Kansas City is checking out the farmers markets. I
Yeah.
love, love, love visiting farmers markets. I think it's a really fun way to experience the local culture, to
Yeah.
meet local vendors. Even last weekend, I was at the Overland Park Farmers Market, and I had just bopped in right before the market was closing. It closes at 1 on Saturdays, the
Mhm.
Overland Park Farmers Market. Bopped in right before it closed, and um, this woman had these beautiful bouquet of flowers, and she waved me over. She was like, she just noticed me admiring them, and she said, "I'll give it to you for half off if you want it." So I went over and I looked at the bouquet, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's beautiful." We had a whole conversation about gardening, and I left with her name. Her name's Becky. It was
Yeah.
just wonderful, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to go back and to see Becky, as I walk through the market this summer.
Right.
And it's just a
Yeah.
way to connect to your community,
Yeah.
and to find new treasures.
Yes. Yes. That's one thing I like about it is either seeing new kind of vendors. You're like, oh, well, I didn't know that bakery was a thing. Oh, they got some unique pastries. Or
Yes.
other kind of farmers kind of seeing where they're at. Oh, I hadn't heard of that town. You
Mhm.
traveled in how far to come here and sell your product? And just having fun conversations with local makers and producers there. Another
Yes.
thing is there can be some fun kind of challenges out of farmers markets. Like, okay, our goal, we have to buy, 3 or 5 unique ingredients and make a dish out of them or whatever, and kind of set
Yes.
set up a little fun game or
Yes.
challenge to experience there.
Yes.
And then for
You
some of
know,
the other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say one of the things that I did with my girls when they were little, just a way to get them familiar with the concept of money and spending money, is I would give them cash. We would go to the farmer's market. I would give them $5 and ask them to find whatever vegetables they're interested in buying for that week. Buy something that you're interested in eating. And, giving them the cash, it's not very often that kids get to handle cash. So giving them the
Hmm.
cash, having them give it to the farmer. Farmers love seeing those kids come up to their booth, and a lot of times they would give my girls like extra blackberries, or here, do you want a bonus cucumber?
Yeah,
Like, it's a great
right.
way to connect kids to the community too, and to give them some very basic personal finance skills.
Yes, yes, for sure. And then some other things. I have seen these around. I haven't done the full tour, but the Hearts tour, where different makers, artists there can create. I think is it the city or someone provides this heart that they have to then create and put designs on, and so it can be kind of a fun thing to see how many we can find in a day or whatnot. And then as you're doing that, you're traveling about the city, so then you bump into other things to explore, and so it's kind of a fun kind of layered experience in there. But personally, like my family, we really enjoy the zoo and the aquarium. Like I said, we have littles, and so and then if you can pair that with a fun either show or concert at Starlight, because it's right there, it's like, man, you could really have a full day. It depending on the weather, it's outdoor, but you might not want to do that in the summer. But you can have a full day at the zoo and then enjoy a nice evening at Starlight. It's a really Starlight Theater is a really cool outdoor venue there. That if you catch a nice night, it is a great experience for sure.
Absolutely. Yes, it is.
Good. So we have a little bit more outdoor to cover. I was like, man, like I told you, hard to whittle down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one thing we really enjoy on this list. So I live in Lee Summit, which on the Missouri side of things, but we're not too far from Powell Gardens. And so most people don't know, but that is the Kansas City's botanical gardens. And so I know we got Overland Park Arboretum and Botanical Gardens on there, but our claim is Powell Gardens is the main one. And so we have annual passes there, and there's different exhibits that go through, and when things are in different seasons. But they try to have different artists coming through that tie in nature to their work. There's just fun, different setups they do and giveaways and whatnot of different plants and classes or whatnot. And so I think right now they have dinosaurs, they've had Legos, so they have stuff for kids and like a little fountain area. But there's also like things to enjoy, just kind of quiet areas to kind of take in the nature and have like little picnic places. And so we really enjoyed the Pal Gardens experience there for sure. And you can have weddings there and all that fun stuff, and it's great. What's something
That's
on this list
wonderful.
that you love?
Oh man, there are a lot of things on this list that I love.
Hmm.
I'll highlight Geringer's farm. We
Okay.
go every summer. We pick blackberries and blueberries, and do not sleep on the blueberry donut
Okay.
or the strawberry lemonade slushy.
Oh,
Okay.
that sounds great. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So they have pick your own blackberries, pick your own blueberries. I think right now they also have pick your own zinnias and snapdragons, or at least last weekend they did.
Oh,
The one
nice.
thing, yeah, the one thing with any of these pick your own farms throughout the city, check their social media or call before you go. They change based on weather. So if it's super muddy or if they expect to be rained out, then they're
Right.
going to be posting it on their socials like Facebook or Instagram. So just check before you go.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. Another thing too is like there's a lot of trails to enjoy, and so we put
Yes.
the big one on here, Katy Trail. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of smaller trails. Sometimes there tend to be around lakes and whatnot. Like there's trails to experience out at Shawnee Mission Lake, and you could spend a full day out there, kind of doing some trails, and then okay, you get a little hot, you hop in the water, or maybe you get a. I think they used to do sailboats. I think you could still rent those or at least paddle boards. They have this
Yes.
dog beach park, and so
Yes.
what's really cool as we're doing research on this is like, I mean, you could get a beach experience in Kansas City, right? Either,
Yes.
Longview Lake on the Missouri side, there's Smithville Lake, there's Shawnee Mission. So, and even if you're wanting to do some kind of more fun boating experiences, you can still take classes on learning how to sail at, was it Perry Lake out by Lawrence? And so I just was really kind of surprised. Like, I don't have to be by the ocean to kind of scratch that itch. Now, surfing, that might be tough. I don't know. Maybe that's where Oceans of Fun comes in. But,
Yep.
but
Yep.
there's a lot of cool things, and you don't have to worry about sharks or jellyfish or like that
That's right, Derek.
seaweed smell or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? And so I was like, oh, I can kind of relax a little bit. There's still water, so for the littles, you're kind of a little stressed, but so just a really cool things to kind of consider and kind of think outside the box around that for
Yeah.
sure.
Overland Park Arboretum. So I know you mentioned Powell Gardens.
Yes.
Overland Park Botanical Garden and Arboretum. What is nice about Overland Park Botanical Garden and Arboretum, I don't know that people realize the trails that the Arboretum
Oh,
has. They
okay.
have amazing trails, and you can take your dog. And that's something else that I think people may not be aware of. But
Yeah.
we took our dog and we went on Father's Day, and we hiked through. Do not forget the bug spray.
Yes.
That's a real issue this time of
Yeah.
year here.
Yeah.
So
You,
make
you
sure you take your
definitely.
bug spray.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Yeah, but check out the trails there too.
Yeah, good, good.
Mhm.
Well, in this slide, this is kind of highlighting some seasonal fun things to do that kind of pop up around the metro area. And so I know our family, we've done at least some of downtown days and I really enjoy that. There tends to be some rides for the kids to enjoy, and then local vendors that get to explore whatever they're offering and different foods to try out. Probably a lot of fried foods there, but so they like that. And then you tend to bump into people that, it's in your community. So you're bumping into people, or, oh, I see them at church or I see them at the community center or something like that. But it's just kind of a fun way to get connected more to your area for sure. Anything on here that you've enjoyed doing?
I haven't done it yet, but we are planning July 11th to be at Lenexa Friday Night Sound Bites
Okay.
because we have a friend that will be performing that night in the band. And
Oh,
so
nice.
they have food trucks and it looks really fun. I've wanted to go the past couple of summers. We just haven't prioritized it. So
Yeah.
we're going to try and do that on July 11th. We're
Yeah.
planning to be there. So yeah, check
Yeah.
that out. And Lenexa City Center has a great food court area there too. They've got all kinds of options. But yeah, I'm excited about that and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Um, and so another thing with kind of outdoor now, didn't all have to be outdoor, but thinking of the different sporting venues, either doing tours or catching a game. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's not really a hidden gym. It's like, well, no, but you can kind of have hidden gyms inside the stadiums. And so, for example, like Royals baseball, well, I might be a little biased, but they have a great kind of Royals Hall of Fame experience that most stadiums don't have it set up that way or at all. And so it's like if you're not from the metro area, you don't frequent those games, you might not know to go look out there. And so checking out the Royals Hall of Fame and enjoying some nice air condition while the game's going on and
Yep.
still getting to see some cool history, both for the Royals, but also just baseball in general. They have a kind of a traveling exhibit in there for just the baseball Hall of Fame. And I was like, oh, this is really unique. And then, there's different shops to experience around. Now, they're all kind of baseball gear or whatever, but just different things to find kind of old stuff, or you can find stuff that's been game used or signed. And so it's just a cool thing to, if you're at a game, to kind of explore the stadium, check out the fountains. There's a lot of great things in the outfield for the kids. But one thing on here, you might see baseball in here twice. You're like, well, why'd you guys do that? We went to the Kansas City Monarchs game as a staff. This was probably a couple years ago, and I had the most fun I've ever had at a game. Besides Savannah Bananas, I will say that. But
Fair,
it was
fair.
a fun experience. They really do hospitality well. We got to do a lot of unique things. Kids got to say play ball, and they were just happy we were there, And so like the food
Yes.
was just as good as it is at Coffin, and so tickets are a little cheaper. I think parking's free or $5, so you get to still see home runs and strikeouts. So you still get a good feeling of professional level baseball, not MLB, but some of the players are former baseball players there. So it's just kind of a cool night out at the ballpark, and they do a lot of the fun stuff that the Royals do too. So it's just something to consider there.
Yeah.
Anything?
We went to a Monarchs game last summer
Yeah,
and my girls loved, there's a big hill. I don't know if it was is it behind second base? There's a huge hill. The girls just rolled down the hill. They just needed to get some wiggles out.
yeah,
But we just waited. There were a bunch of kids over there. And so we waited until the game finished and the players came out and, they're just so personable with the kids. We ended up getting autographs afterwards. It was really fun. It was
yeah.
really fun. So
Yeah.
check that
One
out for sure.
yeah, and one thing I like too on here is the current soccer stadium. So I haven't been there yet,
Okay.
but it is it's the first stadium. It's women's soccer only, and it is a beautiful stadium. Like we've got national recognition for it, and so it's really cool. It's down there by the river, and so it's been a lot of fun to have that as part of the city mix there. And so I think parking can be a little bit of a challenge in that spot. So just be prepared for that. And using the streetcar, I think they're trying to incorporate that more into more things. And so yeah, those are cool things to experience that are kind of unique to Kansas City there for sure. Do
Absolutely.
we have any questions? I think there might have been a raised hand
Mhm.
through, or that might have just been a typo.
I'm not seeing anything
Okay.
here.
Okay, good. All righty. And so now we're kind of getting a little outside the box here a little bit. All right. So you guys say, oh, you talk about Royals or Chiefs or, Sporting or Current, but I was really impressed when I was researching some fun things to do. Some of these things I've done on this list and some I haven't, but one thing with like the staycation idea is, you might think of that as a weekend, but it doesn't have to be. It can kind of be like, okay, well, we're not going on vacation this summer, so what are we going to do we're going to experience over the summer, right? And so you kind of breaking up what you might try to pack into one week somewhere in another state or country. You can spread that out a little bit, and that some benefits to that is it might help the pocketbook a little bit. It could give you different opportunities to experience these things with different people, and so that's something unique to a staycation where it might be harder to get friend groups together for a trip, outside of the city there, and so that's just a unique thing there. But the local tours, yeah, roastery coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love that tour. It was unique to hear how they made the thing. I got to try some unique coffee and how they prepared it, and I got to test out how I could keep a straight face in front of this coffee connoisseur. So it was a challenge to myself, and I think I passed. I don't think they saw me throw away the remaining amount, but it was a great time. Like my family enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it as well. I learned a little bit, and so it was.
We definitely go ahead. We definitely finished that tour and bought a coffee grinder because we needed to up our coffee game. So
Okay.
we definitely escalated our coffee knowledge after the tour, and we've been enjoying just, yeah,
Did the
the
tour
local
guide, did he
brews ever
upsell
since.
you? Did he upsell you on the grinder, or was that
No,
afterwards?
no, it was just very obvious that the quality would be
Yeah.
substantially
Yeah.
better. And
Yeah.
so we learned a
Yeah.
lot, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even not liking coffee, I could taste the difference. Like one was bad,
yes,
one was worse, and so I was like,
yes.
"Oh, okay," and just kind of go from there. I was like, "Great, great, good."
That's funny.
Um, and so, but some other unique things here. One thing we've done recently, and this was actually I caught wind of this from a client, but a glass blowing class. And
Mm,
so I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And I enjoy the arts, but I like that's not my wheelhouse per se. And so I
yep,
was like, yeah, that's something different. Let's try it. And we did it for an anniversary date. Both my wife and I, we were like, that was so much fun. Well worth the money. I think it was like $150 for like
yes.
2 hours of interaction, and you get to do a lot of the work. Now, this was at this Inglewood Art Studio in Independence, but we had so much fun. It was such a great experience. We're like, this was a blast. I want to make something else. We should come back and do Christmas ornaments or whatever. And so it's just fun, unique classes to kind of be looking for either in your city or as you're visiting Kansas City. There's the pottery class we had done. That's in the Crossroads Art District there. And so you're already down there. There's some unique restaurants that we'll cover here in a little bit. But you're in this cool spot where there's good food, there's unique things to experience, and there's cool sights to see. And so it's just a really cool kind of thing to consider as you're kind of building a trip or a staycation or
Mhm.
experience, like throwing a unique class there and a nice dinner. And it's a real nice touch. What on this list really stands out to you? Something you want to try or something you've tried?
I have heard about Moon Marble now twice in the
Okay.
past week, and I am very curious about Moon Marble now.
Yes.
So I definitely want to check that out. I have tried, I did a culinary class at the Culinary Center of Kansas City, and that was amazing. I've done a couple classes there now, I guess. Most recently, I did a bread making class and found it to be hugely helpful. Just a great morning. I had asked for that for Christmas. That was one of my
Hmm.
Christmas gift requests, was
Yeah.
a cooking class. And it's a great way to spend a morning. And doing a staycation, it's nice because you can set aside some dedicated time for classes and tours like this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking on a typical weekend, ooh, what tour should I take of my city? But when you set out to do a staycation, you bring a little bit more intentionality to the planning,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you have the space to say, okay, if I have 2 days in my city, what do I not have time to typically do? Or what do I not prioritize doing? And that's where, you can indulge some of those creative, creative hunches that you have that
Yeah.
you may not prioritize at other
Yeah.
times. I
Yeah.
think a staycation does allow for those opportunities more
Yeah.
so than, typical day-to-day life.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. And one thing on the cooking classes is, we've done them in Kansas City, but we've also done them in our kitchen through like I think my wife used like Airbnb experiences, and so
Oh,
yeah,
fun.
we had a Zoom session with a lady that makes these awesome, I think they were empanadas I think she's from Chile or somewhere. We were just sitting there talking and we were cutting up, having a great time, laughing like she was in the room. And so it was really cool that, she's walking us through this. And so it's even just in your own kitchen, you could have a unique experience there. Now, I will say we were on the hook for all the cleanup and all that. So I was like, well, you might want to do the class at the place. But it was just, thinking outside the box and something different there. The curling, my wife had found that, and so you look at the Olympics and you think, okay, at my age, what Olympic sport could I do? And I always say curling. Well, not after doing a curling class. I don't know if this is sad of me, but I was so sore that was more physically demanding than I thought. And so you should stretch before you do any curling. And but it was a lot of fun to experience and just kind of learn a different sport there. And so she knows I like sports, and so that was up my alley there. But it was great.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
All right, so now it's kind of weekend trip. So kind of think not just downtown Kansas City. It can be, but a little bit further out from the metro are some of these options here. And so, what on this list have you been got to experience?
Oh man, I've done it all, Derek.
Okay.
So I was in Lawrence last weekend, actually with friends, celebrating a 40th birthday, some fellow KU grads. And
Yeah.
so we had a great time just walking through downtown, popping into different shops. We ate at Merchants in downtown Lawrence. It was just a wonderful, wonderful way to spend a Sunday afternoon. Um, the Elms Hotel and Spa, man, that
Yeah.
is such a gem.
Yeah.
We are so lucky that we have that
Yeah.
locally here.
Yeah.
I have several friends who have celebrated their 40th birthdays there, just enjoying a day of pampering and relaxation. And
Yeah.
Weston is somewhere that we like to go in the fall. They have
Yes.
such great fall attractions. They've
Mhm.
got the Orchard and Vineyard and Red Barn Farm. I mean, there's endless options here
Yes.
within
Yeah.
our area. What about
Yeah.
you, Derek?
Yeah,
What
for
have you
sure.
done?
So we did anniversary trip to the Elms Hotel and Spa, and
That's awesome.
yeah, and so that was my wife enjoyed that. I booked the spa, and so I've never done a spa before, but yeah, it was. When I get nervous, I get really chatty, and so I just talk the whole time. My wife did not enjoy the spa with me, but it was. She's like, "Could you just like be quiet and enjoy the silence?" I was like, "I'm trying. This is as close as you can get me to being quiet." But we really enjoyed it. Really good food up there too. I can't remember the restaurant we went to, but it's just cool little shops, and it just felt like you kind of got tucked away in a small town that had really nice amenities for the weekend, and so really
Absolutely.
enjoyed that. And we like walked to, once we parked at the hotel, we kind of walked to everywhere else. You could drive, but it was nice. And then Weston has a lot of unique spots there, and so like if you're driving from the metro area up to Weston, you're probably going to want to spend a full day out there. So you want to get out there early. Depending on how early you get out there, it makes time for doing some nice trails. They have really cool lookouts as well over there. And so I don't know if you're going to get out there for sunrise or whatnot, but it's just a really cool kind of nature experience. There's old tobacco barns that you can kind of see the history of the area there.
Mhm.
I've done the Apple Fest, which is what, based off the orchard, that's kind of how things kicked off. But I
Yes.
haven't done the orchard or vineyard there. And so that would be something really cool to see there. One unique experience I've had in Weston was that O'Malley's Pub. And so we
Ooh.
were up there, and it was in the summer months, and it was hot. We had done the downtown thing, and we're kind of hot, and we had heard about this kind of underground pub there. And so we're like, oh, let's check this out. And so we found the place, and there's a restaurant up top. And then as you walk down, it's like, oh, it gets nice and cool. And there's like all these it's like this old stone. And then it had live music, and you can get pretzels or
Wow.
whatever. It was just a really cool, like, oh, this is a really, really cool experience. There's not too many places you can eat and dine underground. And so I was like, that's something different.
That is
Uh,
very cool. I didn't
yeah.
know about that. That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
so good live music, and so we really enjoyed that. It was a pleasant surprise to the day for sure,
Yeah.
there, and so with that kind of is a nice segue, talking about a little bit of food there. So my family, we tend to be foodies. So when we think about planning things, is like, okay, what cool restaurant or dining experience could we try out here? And so there's a list and we'll have a couple other lists too, because you're like, okay, there's more to Kansas City than just what you're seeing here. But we had to narrow it down some and try to have a good smattering of different, budget friendly things for kids or desserts there. And so, what are some things on the list here that your family's enjoyed?
One of my favorites is Club 27 because
Okay.
of the patio, especially this time of year. They have a huge patio. It's attached to the Sykes Lady Golf Course in Overland Park. Just a great spot to enjoy dinner or drink. The patio is just so beautiful and it overlooks the golf course. So
Yeah.
that's one of our favorite spots and
Yeah.
super close to our house. So oftentimes when we're wondering, oh, where can we go for dinner tonight that's close and we just want to be outside and enjoy the nice weather, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Um, Upper Crust is fantastic for pie. So if you haven't
Mm.
been to Upper Crust, you've got to check out Upper Crust. And then I would also say Lamar's Donuts
Yeah.
is a staple at our house.
Yep. It's a
We
classic.
go often. Yeah. More
Yes.
often than we probably should, but
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, we love it.
Yeah. Some highlights that come to mind for me is chicken and pickle. That's a fun, you can have some fried chicken or different, wings and strips or whatnot, but also playing pickleball. That sport has just gone crazy in popularity. And so that's a fun kind of, they got some indoor and outdoor things to experience there. So that's great. We love Martin City Brewing Company. I would put their pizza up against anybody in the metro area. They have really great, unique flavors in pizza. And they got like this fig, prosciutto, and balsamic picture glaze. I'm like, that is my
Yes.
favorite pizza, and so I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And then there's one on this list that I have not tried, but it is like slow rise donuts. It is the like highest in demand donut I've ever heard of. You like they're trying to do I think they're opening a brick and mortar, but they're at is it Lawrence Farmers Market, maybe Overland Park. They might have their brick and mortar open now, but the lines for that are insane. Like Farmers Market would open at like 7 or 8. You got to get in line at like 5 a.m. It's the highest demand donut, and they have really unique flavors. It's sourdough donuts. So that has been on my bucket list for like 3 years, trying to get a slow rise donut. Like that's all I
Three
want. Yeah.
years.
And so it's like, well, it's tough because on the Missouri side, I got to drive to Lawrence and I got to
Yeah.
get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning or whatever to get out there to get in line. I'm like, and so, but it is great. And then Betty Ray's for ice cream is a really good local spot, and it's actually was recently bought by a dairy farm that's just kind of north of this, a Chateau Farms or Chateau Dairy there. So
Yes.
they do tours, or we forgot to mention that, but yeah, so they have a lot of unique flavors. And so if you're looking to just have a sugar-filled day, slow rise donuts and then Betty Ray's in the afternoon after a little in-between nap probably is what's needed. I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
But those
Yes.
are great. We
John,
had something come through here. Yeah,
we did. Yes. So Jonathan, our colleague, had said that Northeast Pizza is the best pizza in the metro, and it's in his neighborhood. So it's downtown and it's New York style.
Oh,
And
nice.
he said it was better than the best New York pizza that he just had in New York City. He was just in New York
Okay.
City and he would put Northeast Pizza ahead of the New York City pizza
Nice.
he had. So
Yeah.
now I definitely need to check that out.
Yeah, so the Homer kind of beat the recency bias there. I'll have to try that. I have not, but I love a good slice of pizza there. New York style is great. Uh,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Yeah, we'll have to do a work lunch there. All right, so now this is where my I love barbecue, and so I'm
Yes.
like, yes, there are the staples on here: Jack Stack, Joe's, Q39, Gates, Arthur Bryant's. You're going to hear about those when you think of Kansas City barbecue or you're looking at blogs or whatnot. But there's a lot of kind of up and coming spots that are really really good, and I would put them up against maybe even above some of those kind of name brand ones. And so like a newer one is the Buck Tui barbecue. So that's like a Thai barbecue infusion. You can get like a brisket ramen thing. You can get some more traditional barbecue dishes there, but it's just a really cool play on flavors there. It's something I think is worth trying out. And then if you're in the city market, you're looking at the different vendors, maybe you got some nice cut flowers. You had a little pastry there, but I need something that has a little bit more meat to it there. Wolfpack Barbecue. That is, I tell you what, they had one of the best dishes I've ever had. It was their covered fries. I'm telling you what, I would eat that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It was fantastic. It was lovely. Yeah. Pig Witch is a popular spot. That's actually paired with like a meat counter there. And so
Yes.
so you can go get your steak for, the next day and then get a nice sandwich there. It's been on Diners, Driving and Dives. But what I want to highlight here is my favorite barbecue spot, Chef J. It's in the West Bottoms there.
I am so curious. I
They
cannot wait to
make the
check this
best
out.
brisket in the city. I would put them up against anybody. I feel weird saying this because it's Texas style brisket, but it is something you need to experience. And what's nice about that is where they're located in West Bottoms. There's a lot of really cool shops or different kind of coffee shops, other things to kind of look at down there. So it's this old district. There's lofts down there, but there's these antique shops that they're multiple stories high. Some have air conditioned, some don't. So you get the full experience of Kansas City summers. But we really enjoy going to West Bottoms, and a lot of them are open on the first Saturday of the month. A lot of the
Yes.
other shops down there, but it's a really cool spot to be in for at least half a day, and enjoying
Absolutely.
that. And then Scott's Kitchen, if you're heading out of town, or if you're heading up to Weston or something like that, that's kind of up by the airport. But that's kind of a barbecue with like some Mexican dishes infused with, barbecue burritos and tacos, and I get a great breakfast there. And so we really love Scott's Kitchen. Scott's Kitchen and Chef Jay, they're actually, if you go to Royals Stadium, you can get some of their barbecue there as well with Joe's KC. So that's what I like the Royals have recently done, is adding in some local flavor to the stadium, which is nice. And so, but yeah, I love those. What are some of your barbecue spots on here, or ones that aren't on the list that you're like, you got to try?
Well, now I really have to try Chef Jay and
Yeah.
Scott's Kitchen. I was at the Royal Stadium last night, Derek. So where was this
Oh,
conversation
I
before
wish,
that?
I wish I would
I
have
had
known
a
this.
I had a little bit of a disappointing hot dog situation. So I
Th-
wish I would have known. I would have
Yes.
gotten the barbecue.
Yes, that tends to happen. And
That,
so,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Try
but
to
of
avoid
course,
the dollar dogs, and
yeah,
let's go with the barbecue there.
yeah,
It's way
yeah,
better.
yeah.
But some of these things, it's like, oh, these are nice, but what if we're wanting to have like a kind of a nicer, kind of not breaking the bank, right? But just kind of a
Mhm,
little bit a step above a barbecue spot.
mhm,
What are
mhm.
some things that you'd like here?
Oh man, Lydia's and West Side Local are the two that I will always toss out when I have
Hmm.
people visiting us in Kansas City. Those are always two that I'm going to offer up to folks. I think both of those offer just a great menu and great atmosphere,
Yeah,
just wonderful food
yeah,
and a great environment.
yeah.
What
And
about you,
what?
Derek?
Yeah, and West Side Local. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like a farm to table, I think, as well as
Mhm.
Is Bluebird as well.
I don't know about Bluebird, but I do know West Side Local is, and they have excellent mac and cheese. So
Yeah, yeah.
can't go
Yeah.
wrong there.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've done Farina. That was a newer spot, and
Ooh,
got the braised rabbit. And so I was like, oh, you never see rabbit on a menu. I was like, I
yeah,
gotta at least dip my toe in the water. It was an anniversary dinner, I was like, I'm feeling a little sophisticated. And
love that.
so I tried it, and it could have been chicken for all I know, but it was a great dish, and I really enjoyed it. And so it was something fun to experience. It's a nicer spot there. Um,
Yes.
and so it's a cool place to experience there for sure. Another one that my wife and I really like is like Grunt Hour. I think it's by Lydia's there, right in
Yes.
that kind
Yes.
of crossroads
Yes.
area. And so that's been a great kind of German, Belgian type dishes there. So something hearty, something that's going to stick to the bones. Really,
Yep.
really enjoy that as well. But these are kind of, I'd say kind of mid tier. Like they're not the cheapest in town, they're not the most expensive, but you can also have a really nice kind of upscale dining
Mhm.
experience in Kansas City too. We're not just all barbecue and
Mhm.
and diners, driving and dives. There's some really cool experiences here. So, what on this list have you enjoyed, or something that you're like, I need to try this? I have not tried it yet.
I've definitely enjoyed the Majestic.
Yes.
We went there during restaurant week, and that's, one tip just for anybody in Kansas City. Restaurant week in January, I think it's the third week of January. That's a great time to try out some of these more upscale
Hmm.
restaurants for a more affordable price. They
Yeah.
have set menus for lunch and dinner, and you pay, I want to say it was $40. It may have gone up for dinner menu, and just that's when we tried the Majestic, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic. It
Yeah.
was a great meal, and one that I definitely want to try is the Town Company. Um, I've heard wonderful things, and yeah, that's just been on my list for a long time.
Yeah. One thing I'm interested in, it could either be really great or it's like, oh, depending on it, but it's the Corvino tasting room. Like you can do a
Yes.
like the supper club. I was like, that sounds really
Yes.
unique to me there. And so it's just
Yes.
it's a different kind of I don't know what you say, play on a dining experience, but it's kind of unique
Hmm.
and an intimate setting more so. And
Yes.
so it can either
Yes.
be great if you have a good group there, or if it's like, oh, okay, get me out of here.
Yes.
But I've really enjoyed that. And then like, yeah, I've done the Majestic. We weren't there in the basement, that's where the live jazz is at, and then the basement there. But we were up top. But it was a really cool spot to be in.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was an older building, so seeing the history there. Antler Room, that's something I've seen a lot that I haven't tried yet, but definitely wanting to get there at some point as
Hmm.
well. And so a lot of cool stuff. My family, we tend to be like, okay, let's look at diner, drive-in, and dives, and then go check out those spots. So like the upscale,
Yes.
like I don't get up there too often, if you know. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we enjoy seeing the different options for sure. And so, but now it's like, okay, we've talked about some fun things to do, some unique dining experiences, desserts, all that stuff. But like, where are some places you'd stay in Kansas City? Let's talk about the
Mhm.
stay part of the staycation.
Yes.
And
I
so,
am so curious about this Margaritaville hotel. Have you seen people posting about this online?
yeah, so probably the newest one on the list here. But
Yes.
yeah, it looks like it's a really nice area to enjoy hot weather, water. It looked cool there.
Yeah,
I've
for sure.
not been there, but it's right up there, and it's kind of by the area, some areas we talked about before, like the KC Monarchs
Yes.
stadium, or we didn't talk about this, but Kansas Speedway. There's Sporting KC.
Hmm.
There's shops up there, so it's
Yeah.
paired nicely. It's not downtown. And
Hmm.
so you don't have to worry about navigating like the busyness of downtown, and you kind of off the beaten path a little bit. You still have Cabela's out there, Nebraska Furniture Mart. There's some other shops, outlets and whatnot to experience around Margaritaville Hotel. But yeah, that would be something cool to check out for sure. Uh,
Derek, have you guys been to Great Wolf Lodge?
I have not. I've been by
I
it.
have not
I've not
either.
been. It's right, yeah, right in that area too. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but there's a lot of kind of fancy older hotels are also building newer structures as well. But just some really cool things. Hotel Phillips, the Fontaine, Hotel Kansas City. I'm really interested.
Yes.
I feel like being in Kansas City my whole life, I need to at least stay once at Hotel Kansas City.
I agree. I
And so,
agree. That
yeah.
is now on my list for
Yes.
sure.
In a lot of these
Hmm.
hotels, like it will have nice dining experiences either
Yes.
in the hotel or not too far from them as well.
Yes.
And so that just, these aren't going to be necessarily budget friendly, but it's just some unique things to experience.
Hmm.
And there's also unique Airbnbs around the metro areas as well. They turned
Hmm.
in, it was an old hotel, they turned into an Airbnb. So it's like, it was a five-star hotel that's it's kind of in between Crossroads and downtown. That's Riger Hotel, J. Riger's. I
Hmm.
think I'm saying that. That's how I say it. But it's like, oh, you could rent that out if you had like, say a little family reunion and you needed, I don't know how big your family is, but you need a spot like that. Or I saw another thing where in Independence you could rent the house that the Secret Service stayed in that were for Harry S. Truman. He,
Wow, that's
his last
cool.
years of independence there, so you could see his house and stay in the house where the Secret Service lived, and kind of kept an eye on him there. I was like, oh, that's unique, so something different. But
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, it's a lot of cool, unique kind of bigger hotels, but also some boutique options as well, for sure. And so man, we've covered a lot. What I'll say is there's a lot of good resources out there.
Hmm.
One thing that I did not know until I had kids, but even if you didn't have kids, the Pogo Pass, I think you
Yes.
get that through Groupon possibly, or maybe
Yes.
just Google Pogo Pass, but that gets you, there's a fee to it. I don't know how much it is, but it's, 50, $75 or something like that. And
Looked like 50 on Groupon when I checked
yeah,
it this
but
week.
you
So,
get tickets to all these different things that Kansas City has to offer. I mean, you can go to the zoo, you can go to a Royals game with it, you can do Science City at Union Station. There's museums on there. I mean, a lot of the things we covered, you could get easy access to through that Pogo Pass, and so that's been a great resource for our family. As you have young kids and you want to try different things. Okay, well, it's $75 to try 12 different experiences. Like, that's hard to do if you're just sparsing out ticket by ticket, but they kind of package it up there for you. And
yeah.
then, there's some magazines and websites on here. Anything that you've used to kind of help you explore the city more?
That's a great question. I do like Visit KC, and I will be buying a Pogo Pass. I've heard you
Yes.
and Jordan in our office talk about the
Yeah.
Pogo Pass, and so I definitely will be buying one. I am sold.
Yeah. Well, and what's nice about that is, okay, it's a pass for, I don't know if it's 12 months or 18 months, or whatever, but it's
12
our
months.
time
Mhm.
frame. And so it creates, okay, we bought this, so we're going to use it. So we're going to be
Yes,
intentional about what's on this list that we might want to try something different, and so we've done hockey games on it. It's like, okay, well, it could be easy to say, I don't want to mess with it. It's like, okay, we already have the ticket. We just haven't claimed it yet. So
right,
let's get going and doing things
right.
like that.
I think it does bring another level of adventure
Mhm.
to your Kansas City experience because you will have the opportunity to do things you wouldn't otherwise choose necessarily. I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, I wouldn't choose a hockey game, but because I've paid for a pass and I can get in and
Yeah.
if I see that it works schedule wise, why not take my kids to a hockey game?
Right.
We'll all
Yeah.
experience something new and have some fun. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Definitely. Definitely. And one thing, I've used this when I go visit family and, in Arizona or whatnot. It's like, I'm not familiar with all the fun things to do here. So I've used
Yeah.
AI to help. I'd say, okay, hey, I think at the time I was using Gemini, but whatever AI that you might want to use, ChatGPT, whatever it is, just say, hey, here are the times we're here. Here's all the people. Give some details around maybe ages, what things you like to do, don't like to do, and then just let it kind of kick off the brainstorming project for you. And so they could
Yes.
highlight some unique festivals that are going on, or different things to experience in that city that you could probably get to by doing a Google search, but you're gonna have to
Mhm.
piece it from different websites here and there. And so
Mhm.
that's just one consideration. Obviously, still do a Google search or whatnot. I'm not saying that, but and then looking at kind of local influencers. That's where my wife gets a lot of great ideas for like
Mhm.
fun things to do for the kids in the area. We've learned a lot about different play areas just off of a lot of different Instagram accounts there, and you can see some that we have listed there. But just kind of get creative and just picture like using just different sources to kind of help draft a nice list there for you guys to consider for a staycation there. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, and one thing is like, hey, we're always here to help bounce ideas off of each other and say, hey, should I do this? Should I not do this? And so, reach out. I'm always happy to talk about Kansas City things and provide guidance on what, things to consider. If you're trying to plan a trip for Kansas City, we have some great ideas, and I know we're going to be sending out a lot of resources from this on the follow-up email. And we're going to create some different lists here than just what you've seen today. But so yeah, so I hope this has been helpful for you guys. It's been fun to put this together and just kind of explore the city and kind of brainstorm together to say, oh, what are some fun things to highlight here and experience there. And so it's been great. I appreciate everybody joining us today for the webinar. Stay tuned for the follow-up email. We'll have, and then we'll send some other emails out for our July webinar coming up. And so, but yeah, reach out if you have any questions on anything we've covered today. We're always happy to help there. And Kristin, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to have a fun discussion around some Kansas City things.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Derek. This was
Yeah.
fun, and I have all kinds of new inspiration for my summer too. So
That's right. Yeah. Now you'll know we gotta bounce ideas off of each other now if
yes,
you're doing something fun in the city there. So
absolutely. Great ideas
Alrighty.
here.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Take care. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.